My wife says that size really does matter, so we are upgrading. Welcome to the Shire, the next big Lord of the Rings release. This was a set that was hyped up, dreamt about, relentlessly desired, and then the price tag came along and diminished the hype for a good number of fans by my calculations. This set was designed by Kenyon Brady, and the graphics are done by Ashwin Visser and Nathan Davis. Kenyon Davis has designed sets such as the Bouquet of Roses, as well as the new Christmas Wreath. The good one, not the old one. The old one fell apart as soon as you tried to hang it up. You really couldn't hang it on your own, just like Jeffrey Epstein. A silly number like $270 could not keep me away, no siree. For full transparency, I did spend all of my insider points to reduce the cost so that it made sense for me. And we could talk about overall cost and value later on, but first let's talk about what's actually here. This set contains 15 bags spread over 3 booklets. One booklet for the center of Bilbo's home, Bag End, one for the 2 wings of Bag End, and another for the side builds. You could, if you wanted to, share the build process with friends or family with the way that it's divided up. I, however, take a slightly different approach to sharing the Lego building process. The build process was very straightforward and I didn't experience any hiccups. I just made sure to be very careful when handling the cloth pieces because I don't want to rip them. If you're curious about what it looked like to build the set, I've got a time-lapse video link down below in the description and you can check that one out after you watch this video. Here's the final product. What are you getting for your nearly $300 investment? A beautiful Bag End, amazing minifigures, and some fun side builds. To clear up some confusion about the name of the set, Shire is the name of the country, Hobbiton is the name of the town, and Bag End is the name of the house. And I don't mind that it's called the Shire, not Bag End, because we are getting more than just Bag End, and to call it that would diminish overall what we see here. The first thing you build is Gandalf's cart, and it's loaded up with fireworks. This is the second cart of his that we've gotten over time, the first of which was released in 2012 with the original Lord of the Rings wave and retailed for $12.99. The new one fits the scale of the minifigures a little bit better, but offers less space overall. It's a great way to start off the build process for something like this because it is the introduction of Gandalf, the one who kind of gets the ball rolling for Frodo on his adventures with absolutely no negative repercussions at all.
Fly, you fools!
Moving on to the next build, which is the central section of Bag End. Let's start outside. It seems like such a lovely day here. The flowers are in bloom, and there's the perfect spot for us to take a seat in front of the house. One small issue, we cannot walk up to it. The gate here with the iconic "No admittance except on party business" sign, which is a sticker by the way, doesn't open up enough for a figure to walk through it. At first I thought that this was maybe a mistake on my part, so I went through the instructions, checked again. Unfortunately, it is not a mistake on my part. This is just how it was designed. So, did they try and hide this in the promotional material? They did. On their website, they have an animation of Gandalf sort of coming from nowhere on the side, which also isn't accessible unless he's walking on the house. And that's a shame because they've built up this path so nicely. One thing that this set really gets right, especially in this center section here, is the flora and the greenery all around the house. The diversity of the plant pieces contributes to such a natural looking house under the hill. And I like the messiness of it. I've said that in the past about some other sets, but I really like it when they get messy. One big positive of the set is all these big green pieces that are used for the slopes and the grass. They're not glossy. I guess they were done on purpose to be matte green so that they look more like grass and less like shiny plastic. There's a very good looking door. This in the past, I believe was a print, but now it's all brick built and built up. One huge negative for the set, however, does still come with the door, and that is the overall door gap. There's lots of ugly gapping all the way around the door, and I put my phone flashlight behind her just to kind of illustrate just how bad the gapping is. I don't know exactly what they could have done, but I don't feel like this was their best shot at it. There are new printed pieces around the door and windows. There's small one used again inside, but it's nice to get brand new prints. I love it when they use new prints and we don't have to apply stickers over and over again. Thank you, Lego, for that. The boomerang pieces that are used as the wattle fence along the front of the yard look very nice and were quite fun to put together. Just inside of the wattle fence, we have a lovely garden, and we've got pumpkins and what I believe could be cabbage or just some other plant starting to grow. And up top, above the door frame, we have a lovely tree. According to Kenyon Brady, the designer, the original tree design for the set was much bigger, but it threw the overall composition and scale of the build off, which is why eventually we get this design here. And I can see the argument for a smaller tree offering forced perspective, but I'm in the camp that a bigger tree would have made the whole Bag End feel a little bit larger. The next thing you build up is this right flank over here. It uses uses very few floral pieces, another window, and is more about adding to the rolling green hills of the set. And it looks fine, but is the smallest portion of the house. To me, there's a lot of wasted internal space on building this hill up. It's part of the reason why people have complained about the inside of Bag End being so small. It looks so massive and big from the outside, and it's even got a really large footprint, but from the inside, it gives very little space for the interior. One thing that this section does better than the adjacent one is giving a cleaner cut between the wall and the grass. It's a natural cutoff so that when you view the set from the side, you see less wall and more of that exterior, the part you're supposed to see from the outside. To show you what I mean, let's jump over to the last section of Bag End. On this side, when viewed from this angle, you could see the wall protruding further than the grass, even though we haven't gone to the back of the set. Yes, it's dollhouse style for play value, but it's incomplete. I don't mind that it's dollhouse style at all. In fact, I like it when it's like this. But this whole section over here feels very incomplete, as if the designer ran out of pieces and was forced to kind of cut it off prematurely. And it's another part of the set that makes you wonder about play set versus display set, and which one they were trying to lean into, or if they just couldn't decide, so they kind of mixed it up. But the way that this wall over here is cut off, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. On top of that, the grass roofing over here, I think, is probably cut off too soon. We even have a stud over here, as if they were planning on eventually making the roof bigger, but they kind of ran out of budget and they were like, well, let's just ship it as is. That'll work. We do have more floral elements over here, which is nice to see. We have more windows. Over here towards the front, we have a bird feeder. Originally, I thought that this was supposed to be an oil lamp of some kind. And if we travel on top of Bag End, we have a clothesline, and that kind of breaks up the green monotony a little bit. So very nice job including that clothesline. We've got lots more rolling green hill pieces, and that contributes to the large footprint of this set even more so on this side compared to the other one. Towards the front, we have a nice cobblestone wall, though when it's used as a property boundary like this, it's referred to as a dry stone wall or as a dike. We've got 3 chimneys around the set, and only one of which lines up perfectly with the fireplace below it. It's nice to see all these chimneys up top, and it breaks up more of that monotonous green on green action. This circular element here is a new window piece, by the way, and it does fit the original rectangular cross-stitched window pieces in the back. It just has a green circle cut out, so that's nice to see. Something that I can step back and appreciate is how natural they've been able to make this home look with the landscaping, and it becomes increasingly apparent when you take a look at the original Bag End, which is more blocky and more unnatural looking. The original is still a great set. It does just kind of start to show its age a little bit. Let's go through the gappy circular door and take a look inside the set. If I had to sum up my thoughts about the interior of the set, it would be that it's not nearly as good as it could be, but it's not bad. Let's take a closer look. On the left side, we see Bilbo's desk. This is where he's writing There and Back Again, A Hobbit's Tale by Bilbo Baggins. It does, however, include a sticker piece. It's one of 10 small stickers, which I've given up on stating is an issue in a big set like this when it's expensive, just because it feels like an old man yelling at a cloud. Gets us nowhere productive. Stickers are fine here, and they give small details that kind of help the overall feel of the set. I really don't mind it. Next to the book is the Deed of Contract, a little bit of an Easter egg from The Hobbit, where Thorin Oakenshield gives Bilbo this here contract that says he's going to get 1/14 the treasure that Smaug is protecting. There's a small brick-built chair for Bilbo to sit on. Next to the desk is a fireplace that uses more of those printed elements that we saw outside the window. Above that is a print that some people have speculated incorrectly, that it's the White Tree of Gondor, hinting at a Minas Tirith set soon to come. Sorry to burst your bubble on this one, but this is a Baggins family tree that just so happens to be painted white. No Minas Tirith yet. To the right of this room is the entryway, which is probably the most recognizable interior section of Bag End. You can remove the roof for access of the minifigures or just some more lighting on the inside. Unfortunately, there is no chandelier for Gandalf to bump his head on as soon as he walks into Bag End. Next to the door, we see a treasure chest with silverware, a reference to Lobelia Sackville Baggins attempting to take all of Bilbo's silverware mentioned in the Fellowship of the Ring and then eventually shown in The Hobbit, the Battle of the Five Armies closing scenes. On the left side, we see a beautifully built up coat rack, and in front of that we see a barrel with a sword and an umbrella, the two things that I never leave the house without. You never know when you're going to run into a rainstorm with a 20% chance of orcs. I'm sure the neighbors love when it's a filming day. Next door to the entryway we see a sitting room with a table. There's 2 chairs that are not attached to the ground, which is kind of annoying if you're moving the set around frequently. We also see Thorin and Bilbo's map to the Lonely Mountain. We see some lovely flowers in the corner. Fun fact, you can both smell and listen to the flowers. Really, listen. That's me in the corner. Next to the flowers, we see a beautifully built up fireplace, and the fireplace comes with a fun play feature. Simply flip to burn the envelope, revealing the one ring in the fireplace, but it's okay to touch. It's quite cool. Above the fireplace, we see 2 stickers. One shows off Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh in Hobbit form, an Easter egg from the movie where director Peter Jackson and his wife, film writer Fran Walsh, are turned into Bilbo's parents. Another fun fact, I'm just full of these, Bilbo's dad was named Bungo. Another fun fact, Frodo's dad, Drogo Baggins, got so fat that he sunk the canoe that he and his wife were fishing in one day, and they both drowned. And that's why Frodo is Bilbo's heir. Also why both his parents are dead. Here's that other carpet print over here on the ground, which is nice to get, and I'm sure we'll see that in future sets to come. There's a really fun reference here on the window that I haven't seen any other LEGO reviewers mention before. There's a plain brown hedgehog piece. This is a reference to the filmmakers leaving large pine cones around Bag End to kind of establish the scale of the scenes. The blank hedgehog represents those pine cones that they left around the set, so you can just leave that sitting there in the window. After you build Bag End, you go on to build Bilbo's birthday party scenes. Whether or not they were necessary doesn't matter yet, because we're just talking about what's here. We get a beautifully printed tent that's nicely built up. Next, we see a birthday cake and table with a croissant. It's a nice looking cake and serves the purpose quite well. After that, we get the most complex build of the set, and that's this little green circle with a firework attached. Launch up the firework, and it's replaceable with a burnt plant piece to kind of show the remains that are on the ground, maybe the burnt grass or the singed pieces of the firework that are left behind. Last but not least is this section here with the ugliest Lego tree you ever did see, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it because every reviewer so far has done my job just fine. They destroyed the tree and told us how ugly it was, and in person, it's still the ugliest tree that LEGO has ever produced, and I'm including like the Black Forestman sets from way back in the day. The fun part of the set is this play feature on the tree. You can spin Bilbo 180 degrees, so when he puts on the ring, he disappears completely. I'm thinking that maybe this birthday section here, or at least the tree, was kind of thrown together last minute. The set was not ready to put out, and it was not done cooking in the oven. We can attach this clear piece here, which is connected to a dragon. That's right, the firework dragon that we see in one of the opening scenes. Overall, the dragon looks just fine. I think that it serves its purpose, and it looks decent enough. I think that they should have included more fireworks. I think that this set would have benefited quite a bit from more fireworks to maybe sell what the dragon is. Otherwise, maybe you look at the dragon and go, well, what is that supposed to be? As stated earlier in the review, I think I would have liked if all the birthday sets and all the little birthday side builds were connected, because as is, it's sort of a scatter plot of sets. The birthday part of the set sort of feels like an afterthought, and maybe it was just a way for us to get more characters from the Shire or Hobbiton that we otherwise wouldn't have gotten, like the Proudfeet family and Rosie Cotton. I do love the fabrics that are provided because attached to that party tree, we do have this lovely happy birthday Bilbo, and it's very movie accurate. The party tree, however, leaves much to be desired. One of the major positives of this set is the selection of minifigures. We get a new face print for Gandalf, which does kind of make him look a little bit more angry. Every other minifigure does have an exclusive print. Even the returning characters that we've already seen before in Rivendell and Barad-dûr get complete makeovers. Next in line after Gandalf, we get Frodo Baggins, and he's got the buck teeth, even though I think that was kind of a weird addition to keep in that gap between the teeth, but if you go back and look at the scene, it is absolutely there. The rest of the figure, especially that torso, looks fantastic. It's really exquisite printing on that figure, and I'm really, really happy that we got him in a new outfit. Next in line after Frodo Baggins is Bilbo Baggins. Bilbo Baggins, just like Frodo, comes with extra pieces to replace his legs so that you can have him sitting down in a chair or on Gandalf's cart, and his torso looks just as good. I'm not so sure that the face really works out for Bilbo here, but nonetheless, I think overall the figure looks great, and I'm glad that we got him another time around. I wasn't sure we were going to get him again after the Rivendell release. Next is Samwise Gamgee. He's also in his Bilbo's birthday party attire, but we've given him his scissors so that he can pretend to work in the garden so that he can be dropping no eaves. This torso of Sam's can probably be applied to a whole bunch of other sets. Next is Pippin and Merry. Pippin's the one with the darker colored hair. Merry's got the lighter, more red hair. However, both of them have singed, burned, recolored Ninjago hair pieces to show off after they've launched the dragon firework up into the air. And of course, I've given Merry some food. Both torsos look fantastic, and the legs could be swapped out for the sitting pieces. However, extra sitting pieces for the figures are not included. So you only get those sitting pieces with Bilbo and Frodo. Speaking of Pippin and Merry, I wish that we could have gotten a pots and pans dishwashing section of the party. That way we can have them being punished by Gandalf after they've set off his fireworks. Of course, after Pippin and Merry, we get Mr. and Mrs. Proudfoot. One of the funnier facts about this set is that Mrs. Proudfoot has a face that's been reused from Mr. Weasley from the Burrow set. I think that's kind of funny. Last but definitely not least is the beautiful future wife of Samwise Gamgee, Rosie Cotton. This is a recolored skirt piece, I believe, that was used originally for Minnie Mouse, and her torso print is unique, of course, and she looks fantastic. I think out of all the new figures we've gotten, this is the one that looks the most like the source material. And of course, she's looking so happy because she's not yet had all those children with Samwise Gamgee. Yes, 13 children they had together. This is a great collection of minifigures, and I'm thrilled that we got what we got. However, as I'll explain in another future video I've got planned, I think that this set overall would have benefited for being Hobbit-based instead of Lord of the Rings-based, and that might be the hot take of the day. I'm going to wrap this up in the best way that I can possibly express, and that's by taking a quote from the Star Wars movie Rogue One. We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close. There's a lot of positives to take away from this set. Number one, first and foremost, Bag End is gorgeous. It offers a massive exterior that really does stand out on a shelf. The minifigures that are included are stellar, top-notch, and they include lots of detailed prints. Gandalf's cart is another step up in my opinion, and was a great addition, and I'm thrilled that this wasn't a gift with purchase as was originally rumored. There are some negatives to the set, as I mentioned a couple of them before. Number one, the price. I don't know how much more could be said about the price that hasn't already been said, both by me and other LEGO reviewers out there, but it's too much. The interior and parts can be very lackluster. I think it would have benefited from being just a stud or two deeper, maybe a little bit less space provided for the entryway, and maybe a better layout. The backside and the top do feel unfinished, and the door gapping along the front door is a little bit inexcusable at almost $300. The birthday elements leave a lot to be desired. I don't think they really add a ton to the set. I think that they just open the door for new figures to be included in the Shire that otherwise we would not have seen. In my opinion, if you haven't already picked up the set with the gift with purchase, I think that you should wait for a sale. You should buy it used, or you should use points that you've stored in your VIP Insider program to offset the cost. When you take a step back, I'm personally failing to see $270 worth of a LEGO set, regardless of the long list of positives. To me, it feels more like a $200 set. There's the number that I would have wanted to pay, and then there's the realistic, what do I think it probably should have been? And I'm stuck between $200 and $220. For a set that I had really high expectations, unfortunately, it's a lukewarm reality. Had it just been a Bag End set and we got rid of all the party stuff, but we still kept the minifigures, I think this would have been a 4 out of 5. But as is, I think it's about a 3.5 out of 5 stars. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know how much I love Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and Middle-earth and all that. So I'm still going to appreciate it for what it is. And that is a gorgeous set that has just a few problems. I look forward to what's in the future for Lord of the Rings. I do hope that they figure out the price to piece thing that they've started here. They didn't have any of that problem with Rivendell or Barad-dûr. Those both felt like great values off the shelf. Try not to think of the price. I'll see you next set. Bye-bye.